Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to be disassembling the engine on the Mustang. Now that the garage door is functioning, I can open that when we finally do get to fire it back up. But I'm going to work on getting the motor torn down, the heads pulled off, and see what the condition of everything looks like. So yeah, we'll just hop right into it. First thing I'm going to do is drain the radiator. I already cracked this petcock at the bottom loose. But that just spins to let the fluid out. Once it gets flowing, loosen the cap and it'll speed it along. I do have carpet underneath there, just an old shop carpet, but I don't want it getting everywhere, so I'm gonna go slow. It's easy enough that way. All right, next I'm gonna take the valve covers off and get all of these plug wires out of the way. Again, if you watched the compression test video, I did go through and label all of the wires. The way these Ford engines work is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So easy enough to number, but do want to keep track of what wire goes where for the proper firing order. All right, so right now I have all of the plug wires off and just have them sitting up top. I'm going to take off the valve covers next. I mentioned again in the prior video that somebody over tightened these guys. You can see there's RTV in there and everything because they were squished and they're definitely warped. There is oil all over the bolts, so I think we're going to end up going with those red aftermarket valve covers. I believe those guys are meant for an 80s Mustang, like the Fox bodies, but they do fit. They just need longer bolts, which I have. The guy said he took it off because there wasn't a breather on it, so I just have to buy a breather and take the cap off of one side. The other side has the hole for the PCB setup. So gonna pull these off and see what the inside looks like. And the battery's dead. Doesn't look bad. Dirty, but not bad. when doing things like this, you're going to run into wires and stuff you need to disconnect, so it's good to make note of what goes where. So this spliced one that goes, looks like red and white, into just a red goes down there. The one that is red and white without the splice goes to the sensor up there. I wish I would have bought a new sensor now that I'm looking at it. They're fairly cheap and would be easy enough to do while I'm doing this. Might have to make another order, but yeah, I'm gonna disconnect some wires. I'm gonna disconnect the bolts. I'm actually gonna see if I can take the carb off with this. Since I'm not removing the distributor, it might be a little tricky getting that guy out of there. This other big wire across the top is clicked into the furthest to the front on the distributor. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is start breaking all these guys loose. Get this ready to come out. Alright, next I gotta just disconnect the fuel as well as that guy there. For the intake, I don't know if it matters where the bolts came out of and where they go back in. It's my thermostat housing picture. And then the bolts all the way up through, just so I keep track of them. I don't know if it matters or not, but better safe than sorry. As I'm getting into moving this, I'm noticing that fuel line probably makes more sense to take off where the carburetor. No fuel in it though, because it pissed all over the engine floor, or the engine bay and the floor. Alright, so I'm taking all the rockers out. I did notice one thing. I'm going to have them set in the order that I'm taking them out up on the bench. But I did notice there's also numbers on these. So like the one that I have out says 239. Next one was 198, 201, 176, 190, 172. I think 189, and then 167. No idea what it means. Put in the comments if you know. Alright, so I have all the rocker arms out. The only other thing I need to do to remove the heads looks to be the power steering pump. There's a bracket that connects to the head as well as the alternator on the other side. So I'm going to loosen these guys, take the belts off, and then pull those brackets off. And then I'm just going to break the heads free and hopefully they pull out. There is no space where these shock towers are. Taking the whole exhaust off probably makes more sense, but if I do that, then I'm going to want to buy headers. If I have those, then I'm going to need the flow masters to go with it, and I'll just keep spiraling if I don't stop somewhere. So that is where I stop. Pull the heads, do the gaskets, lap the valves, do valve seals, be done with it. Throw it all back together with new gaskets. Sounds easy in theory. Teardown's been not too difficult. Ran into a few issues specifically on this left head. Second cylinder. The head bolt's been a pain. The spark plug was a pain. The header bolt, one was stuck. I had to use heat to get it off, all on that number 2 cylinder. Real pain in the ass, but other than that, everything's has been okay. So I'm gonna finish taking off. I got, I think, 2 more bolts, the 2 center ones. Then the head should come off. I also did notice there's a dipstick in the back that is connected to the head as well, so I gotta take that bolt off, much like this guy here in the front, which I already disconnected. But yeah, I'm gonna do that and then pull this head out. All right, so this is an example of the struggles that I'm running into, which again isn't too bad. Need one of the swivels on here to get a wrench in, and then I can only get this small wrench in because of the shock tower. So I had to get some leverage, throwing this guy on here and using the wrench to get it started. But now that it's started, I can just take it out the rest of the way. But a real tight spot, not ideal, but it's doable. All right, so I was getting this dipstick off in the back and noticed, it's kind of hard to tell, there was a ground wire that was also on the head there. So I have to remember to connect that when I put it back together. Small stuff like that recording this is actually going to help with. Interesting to throw it in a video, but it's also something to look back on as I'm putting it back together. Another thing I noticed is they use the red RTV on the head bolts, which I did not think was right to do. I heard of people using oil or using like the ARP recommended, which is what I bought. But I've never seen the RTV used in any of my research, and it's really made a mess coming out. Additionally, it looks like they put so much RTV around that guy that it's clumped up. And they also use these cork intake gaskets, which I am not going to use. I'm just going to put a bead of that RTV across the back of it. But yeah, I don't think the person who did this was experienced. I'm definitely not experienced, but seeing these types of things make me question if it's just another backyard rebuild, like what I'm attempting to do now. But I don't know. Alright, so that's the head gasket. As you can see around the whole thing, it's fine. Looks like the issue, like I was hoping, is going to be the valves or head gasket. is actually much deeper than that. I believe that is why there's no compression in that cylinder. Even the oil didn't help because that's pretty bad. You can see the valve seals in there are just toast. So I think for shits and giggles, I'm going to just do the valve seals, throw a new head gasket on. What I didn't show on camera is those cylinder heads filled up with coolant, and it just puddled. That wasn't leaking. So although that is really marred up and really ugly looking, it was still sealing. I mean, I didn't do a leak down test, so I'm not 100% sure to what extent it is, but I don't know. I guess I'll just be out a couple $100 in gaskets if it still smokes and has no compression.